So, guys, in a circular flow of income, there might be different kind of questions. So, I have these four questions which are worth discussing. पहली बात तो ये कि when they ask you about explain the circular flow of income in a closed economy or open economy, you need to understand कि शुरू में definition देनी है, and definition could be the circular flow of income is a simplified representation of how the basic decision making units of an economy, household, firms, the government, and the foreign sector interact. Now, when they say closed economy, ठीक है, closed economy का मतलब क्या होता है कि we're looking at household, right, firm, and government. ठीक है, this is closed economy. But if this is an open economy, then you will also add the foreign sector, which is exports minus imports. So that is basically how it works. So when they say consider the extent to which circular flow changes as an economy becomes open, so you can start off by saying that the household gives firms the factors of production, right? And in return, firms use those factors of production and produce goods and services, or we can also call it output. This output then generate the expenditure from household to firm, because households are going to spend this money uh, on goods and services. When the firms get this expenditure, they will pay back households what you call income, which is your rent, savings, interest, and profits. Now, when this income comes to households, and if it is a sort of a two sector, three sector, or four sector model, that would now determine the injections and leakages. Okay, injections and leakages. Leakages का हम लोग कहते हैं withdrawals, एक और दूसरा नाम ये होता है withdrawal. So injections और leakages क्या होता है कि income आपके पास आई households के पास. Now the households are going to do what with this income? Households can either save this income or tax it. Government can tax it, or part of this income can be not spent on local goods and services but imported. So foreign sector होगा तो imports आ जाएगी. So withdrawals will become S plus T plus M. And injections क्या होती हैं कि वो expenditure या वो खर्चा जो household ने ना किया हो. So for example, that could be uh, investment plus government expenditure plus exports. So that is money coming back to the economy. So basically हम फिर ये कहेंगे कि जब इकॉनमी दो सेक्टर से जब इकॉनमी क्लोज से ओपन होती है तो विड्रॉल्स और इंजेक्शन बदल जाते हैं. और विड्रॉल और इंजेक्शन के अंदर जो है वो आपका imports, let me shade it differently, imports and exports are added to withdrawals and injection. So when the open economy, closed economy becomes open economy, foreign sector comes in and withdrawals and injections will change. So that's why this could be written as an answer. Now, you can consider the extent to which circular flow of income changes, and the answer is it all depends on how open the economy is. So आपकी ये evaluation हो सकती है कि भाई what if you're small, you have a small foreign sector versus China, which is a large foreign sector. So it all depends on the extent to which a country will be uh, engaged in import and exports of goods. इसमें जो अच्छे आंसर्स होंगे, now remember guys, they will write the definition of what the circle flow is in a closed economy, what it is in an open economy. They will also write what are the injections in a closed economy and withdrawals, and they will also define injections and withdrawals. Notes के अंदर injections and withdrawals की definition लिखी हुई है. I think I've copied it somewhere here as well. कि Injections are supplementary expenditure not originating from households. And withdrawal is simply basically that money that is not spent in the economy, but it's the money that flows out from the circular flow. Okay, so we need to remember those definitions as well. Now, moving on, अगर ये सवाल आए कि भाई with the help of a circular flow of income diagram explain how equilibrium is determined in an open economy. आप बताओ कि open economy में C plus I plus G plus X minus M होता है. फिर लिखा हुआ है and consider whether a budget deficit. अब budget deficit क्या होता है? क्या इस budget deficit होता है कि T minus G is less than zero, यानी taxes are less than government expenditure. और a trade deficit क्या होता है? X minus M is also less than zero, यानी exports are less than imports. Now T minus G is less than zero में क्या होता है कि आपके पास the economy is having more withdrawals then injections. Similarly, X minus M less than zero में क्या होता है? Exports are, remember, exports में goods go out, money comes in, and imports में goods go comes in, but money goes out. So either भी withdrawals is greater than injection. So ये कह रहे हैं कि whether a budget deficit or trade deficit is more likely to cause a lasting disequilibrium. और आप बोलोगे in both the cases withdrawals are more than injections, and when withdrawals are more than injections, your incomes fall and GDP falls. Ultimately, that will cause withdrawals to fall and W to become equal to J. So दोनों जो है they can cause withdrawals to more than injection because more money is going out of the economy than coming in. However, what you could also write is an evaluation. A good evaluation here could be, if an economy has a very small foreign sector, then the trade deficit will not be too harmful. Similarly, the whether the budget deficit or trade deficit uh, will cause a lasting disequilibrium will depend on the size of these deficits. Whichever is going to be larger will cause a larger disequilibrium because the economy will not be settled. So you can write that also. It will depend on the size of the deficits. It may depend on whether a country is largely engaged in exports and imports or have a large foreign sector. Now let's look at one more question, question number four, before we move to the 12th one. With the help of a diagram, explain what is meant by the circular flow of income in an open economy and consider the extent to which it can explain the economic growth. So पहला वाला पार्ट तो आसान है, आपने सर्कुलर फ्लो बता दिया. आपने बताया कि सर्कुलर फ्लो का मॉडल क्या होता है, किससे हाउस होल्ड्स गिव फर्म्स गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज. A household gives firms factors of production, which is used to make goods and services, which is then used to pay for expenditure, and that expenditure will generate income, and that income can result in withdrawals, and those withdrawals can be savings, taxes, and imports, and uh, there will also be leakages, the injections in the economy because some savings will be invested back into the economy by firms, so that's your investment. Other taxes will be then given to government, which will come back to the economy in terms of government expenditure. And then people are, when they are sort of importing goods, there is also exports of goods that will take place, right? So that is basically your circular flow of income in an open economy. But then you say consider the extent to which it can explain economic growth, and when you can argue this, that if the injections are greater than withdrawals, then the GDP will go up. That could be one, and that could make your actual economic growth, the GDP, actual economic growth to happen. But you could also say there's that for potential economic growth. You can write potential economic growth. One may argue you may need to do more of injections to go up in terms of investment, and that could make your GDP to go up, right? So you can then also basically Explain the idea. The actual economic growth is when the economy is moving towards the PPC, while potential economic growth is when the PPC is shifting to the right. So you can also mention that idea. Got it? So this could be your evaluation. Can also come. It may depend on the kind of injections that are happening. If the injections are happening on investment, of course, potential GDP will go up. But if overall injections are greater than withdrawals, then one may argue that actual economic growth will go up. Okay, let's look at 3B. Assess whether increase in investment in new infrastructure will always have positive impact on the circular flow. So remember, this is kind of similar to what we did. We'll talk about basically what's the circular flow of income, how investment can in new infrastructure can result in economic growth to happen, and that would mean basically circular flow of income may you are looking at injections to go up. Now, इसकी evaluation के लिए I just want to quickly talk about in the marketing scheme they talked about that increased investment can be from firms or government. They said household savings basically results in firms to get money for investment, and investment is simply an injection in the circular flow of income. And The idea is that firms will basically uh, use these investments to produce goods and services. Make sense? Uh, Now, will it have a positive impact or not? The circular flow will depend on basically number one, are injections more than withdrawals? If they are, yes, then the circular flow of income will increase. Number one is that. Number two is you can also say circular flow of income is just a model. It may not be truly depicting what happens in the real world. Some of you are saying a real world example. Number three is you can talk about the that if leakages are more than injections, then there will be GDP falling, and it may not be useful. You can also talk about that sometimes new infrastructure models have their own issues in terms of environmental issues and so on, so that could also be considered. And you can also talk about this that it all depends on if the new infrastructure project is going to create more income and employment, to see if it is going to have a positive impact or not. So you can write these kind of evaluations in this one. Okay, guys. So please watch this video before exams. This is very useful to know this topic. It's a topic that comes every now and then, and I have a feeling it can come.